As of late, the United States government has been writing prescriptions for failure. The current system, driven primarily by money, has created a couple of monster epidemics requiring immediate attention. The overprescription of highly addictive opioids has caused widespread rates of overdose. The war on drugs and the introduction of minimum mandatory sentences has caused mass overcrowding in our prison systems. The United States should legalize the medicinal use of marijuana and decriminalize the use of marijuana in an effort to alleviate our current opioid addiction crisis and lessen the overcrowding of our prison system. The medicinal uses of marijuana are innumerable and less addictive than the alternative prescription drugs. Cannabinol, also referred to as CBD oil, is one of the components found in cannabis and has many popular medical benefits. Drs. Shannon and Opila Lehman wrote in 2015 an article published in Integrative Medicine in which a case report in which they report that CBD oil has been identified as beneficial in reducing nausea and vomiting, combating psychotic disorders such as bipolar, decreasing inflammation, lessening anxiety, reducing depression, and improving sleep and increasing a sense of well-being, all of which are symptoms of withdrawal from an addictive substance like opioids. Marijuana use has been shown to reduce depression. Samantha Gebler wrote in 2015 an article titled Health Effects of Marijuana, in which she stated that a study on addictive behaviors conducted by 2 universities found that those who consume marijuana occasionally or daily even have lower levels of depressive symptoms than those who never tried marijuana. And weekly users have less depressed mood, more positive affect, and fewer somatic complaints than non-users. Marijuana can be integrated into standard therapies and become more effective in some cases. Drs. Benson, Watson, and Joy wrote an article titled From Marijuana to Medicine, published in Issues in Science and Technology, that wrote that marijuana's active components in treating pain, nausea, and loss of appetite for patients that do not respond to other medications. Decriminalizing the use of marijuana would ease the overcrowding of our U.S. prison systems. Removing mandatory minimum sentences and offering rehabilitation instead would be positive change. Drs. Ruderman, Wilson, and Reed wrote in 2015 an article published in the Public Library of Science where they stated that crowding overextends prison supervision, which dilutes access to drug treatment resources and causes deficient mental health services. In 2011, an article published in The Economist by an anonymous author wrote that a bill proposed by Kentucky Senate steers nonviolent offenders toward drug treatment rather than incarceration and is projected to save over $42 million a year. The same article also stated that a similar bill passed in Texas, mandating probation rather than prison, afforded substantial amounts to improving treatment programming and turned prisoners from tax burdens to tax-paying citizens. Mandating probation and treatment rather than prison sentences will decrease crime rates. Julie Stewart wrote an article in 2015 for the Washington Post in which she stated that dozens of states have decided to spend less money incarcerating nonviolent drug offenders and use the savings on drug treatment. In nearly every case, both incarceration and crime rates decreased. Legal marijuana as an industry would be a lucrative commodity for our nation. By controlling the seeds, regulating distribution, and funding research, Big Pharma would make as much, if not more, money than they already do. Legalizing marijuana would create jobs as well. Samantha Gebler wrote an article titled Health Effects of Marijuana in 2015 and wrote that the legal marijuana creates economic proliferation, evidentiary by demand for alternative forms of consumption such as edibles, exceeding supply and causing widespread production increase. Job opportunities are made available, especially in production and distribution. Dr. Durkin wrote in 2014 an article published in the Journal of Psychosocial Nursing and Mental Health Services, that the regulation of restrictions placed on legal marijuana, such as where it can be used and the tracking of plants as well as determining impaired driving, is done on a state level and would create state jobs. The sale of marijuana generates massive amounts of money at a very fast pace. In 2014, Durkin also wrote in his article titled "The Legalization of Marijuana for Non-Medical Use" that within 10 days of legalization in Colorado, marijuana sales had generated approximately $5 million. We as a nation need to come together to make this a safer and more enjoyable place to live. We can't eliminate all death or overdose or incarceration, but we can reduce and make it more manageable. That's why the United States should legalize medicinal marijuana for medical purposes, decriminalize the use of marijuana in an effort to relieve our current opioid addiction epidemic and lessen the overcrowding of our prisons.